Hello everybody, welcome to the Red Army. This is where we talk about anything and everything about Manchester United. Well, there is a very interesting conversation going on today online about Antony, the way he's performing for Real Betis. I mean, this is a new Antony. We haven't seen this type of Antony for a very long time. He hasn't been performing for Man United. He didn't show up for Man United for a very long time, and all of a sudden he's scoring for Real Betis. And it's not just Antony. If you look at some of the players who have left Manchester United, or they have they have decided to explore other clubs and other options, you can see that there is a consistent improvement in their performances, which makes us wonder, what's wrong? Are we to blame? Is Manchester United the problem? Because that's what everything is indicating. But personally, I think this is a situation where we have to share the blame. It's a 50-50 situation. We are culprits and we are to blame for half of the issues that actually are rising at Manchester United, and the players have to shoulder the other half of the blame. Now let me explain. First, I believe that Manchester United, it has to share the blame because of how we recruit. We go after some of the best players, which is okay, but the problem is we don't bring in the right type of players to come into Manchester United. I mean, these are great players when they are playing for other clubs, but when they come to our club, they don't fit into the culture, they don't fit into the tactics, they don't fit into the playing style. It's the same thing with the managers. We bring in managers, then we tie one of their hands behind their back because we want them to play certain type of football. We don't give them the freedom to explore and try and bring in new ideas into the team. So let's focus today on the players. They leave Manchester United and they explode and they start playing some of the best football out there. I mean, Antony just scored in 2 consecutive games for Real Betis, and he has also won Man of the Match awards in 2 consecutive games. This speaks volumes, tells you that Antony was actually a beast. But what was happening? Why was he not showing up for Manchester United when we needed him the most? Well, like I said, the blame has to be shared between the club and the players. Now, this is why I believe the club has to share the blame. First, it's the way we recruit, like I said. Secondly, we pay these players so much money. It's the contracts that we give them. We go out there, we get some of the best players. Maybe they are not paid much money. Now, if you look at Antony, the way he was playing at Ajax, he was a beast. This is a guy who was actually showing up every single day when they were playing football. He scored freely. He actually assisted in many games. He was playing one of the most attractive football in Europe, and that's why many clubs were going after him. That's why Ten Hag decided to bring him over to Manchester United. But when he came over, actually he started with a bang. He scored several goals. He put in some really good performances. I can't forget the goal he scored against Arsenal. That was a masterpiece. I loved it. But then something happened and he shut down. If you look at his time at Ajax, he was a beast. He was playing excellent football. But here's something. This is where we went wrong. Ajax was an entire puzzle, and Antony was just a piece of the puzzle. Now, bringing in a piece of the puzzle to Manchester United and hoping to transform the entire team to play the way Ajax were playing, that's absurd. That's ridiculous. Okay, you need to bring the right people or the right players around this player so that he can play to his strengths. Now, at Ajax, he had different players surrounding him. He was working with different right backs and midfielders. Now, when he came to Man United, of course, we had Dalot and we had Wan-Bissaka. These are good players on their own, but they were not complementing. Antony. Not at all. And then there was inconsistency in team selection. Today he's playing with Dalot at the right wing. Tomorrow he's playing with Wan-Bissaka. The other day he's playing with somebody else. I mean, this actually can confuse a player because before he nails down a potential partner they can be partnering with in that wing, another person is introduced. So he has to keep learning, and before you know it, he has lost his momentum, he has lost his love for the game, and that's what happened to Antony. If you look at McTominay, when he left Man United, he went to Napoli. He's a beast right there. And look at Elanga at Nottingham Forest, a beast. But when they were at Man United, they were struggling. Why? because we are trying to bring players from different categories, trying to force them to work together. You need to understand a player you're bringing in. What kind of a player is he? Is he good? Yes, of course he's good, but what type of players does he need around him to thrive? Now, it's up to the team now, it's up to the club now to do the homework. They need to observe, they needed to observe Ajax and see the right back who is playing together with, because right backs, they usually overlap with the right winger, they keep overlapping. That's a partnership. There has to be a partnership there, because most of the wingers, they receive their balls from right backs or from the midfield. Okay, it's either of the two. Now they have to look at the right back. Who is he? How does he play? What type of understanding does he have with Antony? Then if they realize that they don't have such a right back, now they have to go out there and buy a right back who can complement Antony, okay, who can play to his strength. Then you look at the midfield. What type of midfield do we have? Okay, which profile, what type of players do we have there? Do they fit the type of players that Antony is used to playing with when he was in Ajax? If no, then you go out there and find somebody else. This is how you build a team around somebody. You don't just bring them in and force them to play, hoping that they will regain their form. I mean, this is a person who has been used to playing this certain type of football for a very long time. Now you're telling them to change. We all know that change is not good. Change is good, but it's not widely accepted. We all know that not everybody embraces change. It takes time. Well, and then there's another issue, the issue of contracts. I mean, these players come into Manchester United and we offer them huge contracts. I mean, somebody comes to Man United and you're giving them already £200,000 a week. And maybe this person was used to receiving £50,000 a week. Now that's more than 4 times their initial salary. Now they have to adapt to all this money. And then when you play for Man United, that means you are on a spotlight. And these companies and commercial setups, they actually look for you. They want to associate with you because right now you're a hot commodity. They're thinking about money. They feel like this guy has too much attention. There's so much attention on him. So if we can get him to promote our product or our brand, then all that attention will also come to our business and we are going to grow our business. So these companies, they approach these players, they give them lots of money, huge contracts as well, and then more obligations. So you find that this player's attention now is divided between the team, where he has to show up every day and perform, train and perform, and then they have to go out there and fulfill the obligations which they signed to with these commercial companies, these huge corporate companies, because they have to do that because they were paid huge money for that. Now Manchester United should have rules around this. It should have rules around this, that when you come to play for Man United, it's okay to have these brand deals with these companies, but remember, your focus should be at playing football. This is why we brought you here. We didn't bring you here so that you can be bombarding us on social media with posts from Nike, from Puma, I don't know from what. No, we want you to talk to us about football. Now, all that is not, on the commercial side is not a bad thing, but still, it should not take much of your time. You should be focusing more on why you are here, that is to play football. That's why I think these are some of the blames that the club needs to take. There is no control. The club doesn't control much. It gives them free will and free space to do what they want. And that's why you find people like Marcus Rashford who are not able to commit fully to football because of their external issues. They have to focus on other issues. That's why you see Antony couldn't. That's why Depay couldn't. Memphis Depay, you remember the guy? Yeah, I had forgotten about it. That's why they couldn't cope with that. Now, that's why the club has to be blamed. Now, let's look at why the players have to be blamed. Now, first, playing for Man United is not an easy task. I mean, we are one of the best football clubs in the world. We have a huge fan base, and with such a huge fan base comes higher pressure and more expectation from players. They are expected to perform day in, day out. Now, such an environment isn't suitable for people who can't cope or work under pressure. And we are all human beings and we are created differently, okay? We have different traits. There are those who can thrive under pressure. There are those who can't. And sadly, People like Antony Kent. That's why he's performing better at Real Betis, because Real Betis is not at the same magnitude as Manchester United. There is no much pressure from the fans. There are no higher expectations from the fans. But at Man United, when you are bought for the amount of money Antony was bought for, people expect you to perform better. Now, remember, a new player requires time to fit into the team. Now, can you imagine you need time to fit into the team and then people are tearing you up? They are tearing you up every weekend. The pundits are not going easy on you. It's easy for you to lose focus. You know, they are always scared. That's why Man United players are nervous when they are playing football. They are scared to make mistakes. You're scared, you know, to try something new. What if you misplaced possession? What if you don't read the game well? What if you miss the chances? You know, people are going to eat you alive. They're scared of this. That's why they're not stepping up. And that's why you see Antony stepping up for Betis, because there is no such pressure there. He feels good, okay? Now, that's why you see somebody like Sancho writing a comment under Marcus Rashford's post. He's saying that he wrote a comment saying freedom. I don't know what he meant by that, but I think I can just anticipate that he felt like all this pressure that was on him has now been lifted. Now he's free to play the way he wants to play. Okay, Sancho is a flop even at Chelsea, so we didn't lose anything there. Now, about the players, besides being scared to step up, there's an issue of the dressing room unrest. I mean, these players, they form cliques and clans based on where you come and the language they speak. We have English-speaking players forming their own groups, French-speaking players forming their own groups, Portuguese-speaking players forming their own groups, Spanish-speaking players forming their, and so on and so forth. Well, it's not wrong to surround yourself with people who speak the same language as you, especially when you're in a foreign country, because you can get a bit lonely. But spending too much time with them and not being open to mingle with other players, that's where you go wrong. You know, I was watching the other day a certain video on YouTube about Liverpool players when they were reporting for pre-season last season, not this season, last season. Okay, when Klopp was still there. And these guys are so friendly, you know, they're just greeting each other, they're just hugging each other, they're just mingling, they're just playing, they're just talking, you know, cracking jokes. I've never seen such a video about Manchester United players. All I see is that those videos when they're going for functions, you know, maybe they are going to visit an orphanage, or maybe they are doing some community work, or when they are going for what do you call them? These internal award shows where we award the player of the season, you know. That's where you see them together, but you don't see them together. You just see them in the same room, but not together. They don't mingle. They are not free. Now, this actually affects players, because once you're done training, you have nothing in common with other players. You just leave. But if you look at Liverpool and other teams, they actually hang out. They love hanging out with each other. But Manchester United players is different. They don't do that. We don't see that more often. We just see them come in their huge vehicles, practice, then they leave with their huge vehicles, and that's it. Now, this actually affects the way players relate with each other on and off the field. Okay, now off the field, they hang out in these cliques and these groups. Now, if you have a problem, let's say somebody like Luke Shaw, an English speaking player, criticizes somebody like Dalot, a Portuguese speaking player. Now, the entire group who speak Portuguese would feel like one of their own is being singled out. The same thing happens if a Portuguese-speaking player, you know, calls out a French-speaking player or an English-speaking player. You know, people stop looking at it as criticism and start feeling like you're being unfair. We don't like that. That's the problem. And Manchester United, actually, the people who are running the club are not talking about it. They are not taking any action to end this. Players should be encouraged to play with each other. Players should be encouraged to hang out with each other. They should be encouraged to be together even when they are not training. This is how you build chemistry. This is how players get to learn about each other. This is how players become friends off the field, and this can actually be translated when they are actually playing football. It's the only way. But unfortunately for Manchester United, it's not happening. Okay, it's not happening. That's why we will keep having these problems over and over and over again until somebody steps up and actually ends these divisions inside the club or inside the team. Okay, that's all. What do you think? Why do you think that Manchester United players are not actually performing? I would love to know your thoughts. Why is it that when they play for Man United, they flop, but when they go out there to play for other teams, like the way Antony is playing for Real Betis, they're actually performing well? Why do you think that's the problem? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll see you in another video. If you are new here, please kindly take a second to subscribe. It's a new channel. We are trying to reach as many people as possible. We'll appreciate every effort and every support you bring us. So I'll see you in the next video.